Welcome to Caring Community with your hosts Jay and Diane West. In this community, creative initiatives are welcomed. A culture of transformation is normal, and miracles are expected. Welcome to Caring Community.
Hello, I'm Jay.
And I'm Diane.
And this is Caring Community. So our special guest today is somebody we hardly know at all. Just gotten to know him recently. No kidding. Okay, so this is our son, Jason, and he kind of asked to be on the show today. So we said yes. And what do you want to talk about? No, I'm teasing.
It's wide open, right? Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit first about, he's a teacher, a middle school teacher at Lifegate school, and with the coronavirus, they had to go to the learning at home with the computers and all that. So let's talk a little bit about what you had to learn to do that, and then kind of how that process and how it worked.
Yeah, we're in this season right now of just adaptability and flexibility with the coronavirus and with the challenges that has brought on. But I think the big word for me and for a lot of people just to keep in mind has been intentionality. Just being intentional with our time and being intentional with the ways that we still build relationships, that we still build community, and we just continue to look for a lot of ways to do that, even though we can't be together, physically together as much during this time. We can still be intentional about caring for one another. You talked about being a caring community, and that's really what I have looked for and what a lot of the teachers have looked for in this time. It's just being intentional to find ways to still reach these students, even from a distance. And we're finding that it still is possible. It may seem impossible when you can't be with them in person, but it's not impossible. There's still a lot of ways to reach out. It becomes more difficult and more challenging, but there's ways around that. Yeah.
Right. So as you started this, and the students, they had to learn how to do it too. The teachers, instructors, at all levels, all ages, not just in middle school, high school, colleges. I think it'd be so much more difficult the younger you would get.
Yeah.
Especially with children who parents both work or whatever. There's just so many issues as this coronavirus hit. But in middle school, give us one or two obstacles that you had to overcome, and then how that turned out.
Well, we had to find our way for just what was realistic and what was doable for the middle schoolers, what was a good work level. We had to strike a balance between, at times I think we started out realizing that it was too much, trying to do everything that we would do in the classroom, and that just could become overwhelming. But at the same time, finding the other balance of still wanting them to have a quality education, and so not wanting it to be too little either. So it kind of, to a degree, the pendulum swung from one end to the other before we kind of found that middle ground where we felt like, okay, we are giving them a good, solid education, but also not overwhelming them, because learning from home is just different, and you can't do everything the same way. And so that was, I think, for me personally anyway, that was the biggest challenge and obstacle, is just figuring out how to find that sweet spot of being able to give a really good education, a quality education, where we're not shortchanging them, but at the same time, we're not overloading them either. And just that healthy push, that healthy challenge. And that looks different with e-learning at home than it looked in the classroom. So that was the biggest one for me.
I know you do a lot of group projects and things, kids working together with other kids, and you couldn't really do that.
You could a little bit.
You had to change up a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't as easy to do group projects, but you could a little bit. I did manage to have a couple of group projects that the students could do online, and they could communicate with each other on their work, but I had to really think through how that group project would work, and I had to really simplify from what it would have looked like in the classroom and just make it more easy to do from a distance. So there were a couple of group projects we could still do, but that is one of the things where it becomes more difficult. Yeah, but we have different programs we use where the students are able to. They can communicate with each other, or they can post their own video uploads, and they can watch each other's videos and give feedback and comments. So it's kind of like they are still having a discussion, but it just looks different.
I imagine that some of the discipline issues that you would have had on site disappeared, but I was wondering if any new ones surfaced.
You just have to watch out for how the students are using technology in a wise way, and using it in a way that's uplifting. That's the main. I mean, you're correct. A lot of the different discipline or classroom management challenges went away when we went online, but there were things we had to watch, or that we would become aware of at different times with their use of technology. You can't control all of that, and definitely can't control their personal use of it and what they're doing, and that's really comes down to the parents and what.
Right,
and
you wouldn't have been able to do that
but,
before when you're meeting in person either. So
right.
you
But
wouldn't know about that.
when it comes to their use of the software for education and the things that we can follow up on that end, then there were some things we could monitor to make sure they're using it in the right way. Yeah.
Oh.
So as you were dealing, how about just simple things like grading? How did that? Did they submit things? Did they email them to you? Papers? How does all that handled?
Yeah, I already, a lot of the teachers, in fact, already had a system set up for ways that they could turn in assignments electronically, because I would still do that even in the classroom, and so I just ended up using that system a whole lot more. Through Google Classroom, that's the main way. They submit assignments that way, and then I can have a rubric set up on Google Classroom and just grade everything through that, and that was streamlined really well. Grading was kind of already set up for online even before we went to that, and it just ended up being used a lot more. Even assignments, occasionally would have an assignment that you couldn't type on a computer. It was a thing that they had to draw or something like that, where they would normally just hand in a paper copy, but I just have them take a picture of it and send me the picture of it, and things like that too. So.
I would think that this experience would be a great learning curve for the future.
Yeah.
Eventually they're gonna find a vaccine and we're gonna be back in school, but there'll be other distractions, disruptions to school years in the future, or even if just one student, say, gets sick for a long time and has to be at home or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Because of the learning curves here, I think your school and thousands of others will be better equipped. You mentioned adaptability. I taught last Sunday, adaptability presents opportunity. And so when we have adaptability, then we have opportunity to learn, to grow, and to change so that we're better ready in the next time.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And we're thinking through what this can look like for the future. I'm part of a team that's called an e-learning task force for my school, and I'm sure many other schools have a similar team implemented right now, where we are deciding and working on ways to make e-learning even better for the future. For one thing, if this ever has to happen again, we're more prepared. But for another thing, just to have those systems put in place for, like you said, even if a student is absent for a long period of time, or if they have to go on a trip in the middle of the school year and miss a number of school days, there's ways that we can allow them to still stay caught up with their studies and not get too far behind now. So because of everything that we've learned, there are a number of things that we did that I will continue to use even when we go back to regular classroom learning, but I'll still use some of these technology pieces that I wasn't using before.
And it's interesting what technology, just take Zoom alone, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know how long Zoom's been out, but it couldn't have been that long, So if this pandemic had happened 20 years ago, when internet was just coming on, there was no Facebook, there was no social media, there was none of these things, Skype, whatever, it'd have been a lot different. It'd have been a lot different. I'm sure parents would have been picking up assignments every day at the school or every other day and so on. So,
Yeah, definitely.
So technology has just been a blessing
Yeah.
in this particular time period. So,
Yeah. One of the softwares that we have used, one of the programs we have used is, it's called Flipgrid, and it basically allows...
It's called what again?
Flipgrid, and it basically allows the students to make their own videos and to comment on each other's videos, and you can have a discussion online through all of these videos. And it's not like Zoom where it's live. They just post it on their own time, but then they can go back and watch. And that's something I didn't used to use, but I'm going to continue to use that even when we're back in the classroom.
Of course, I said
Nice.
Zoom just came around, but we actually know that Zoom was around with the Brady Bunch and,
Right.
and with
It
Hollywood
was.
Squares, okay,
Yes.
the game show. They were all there in their squares talking. So, yeah, so it's pretty cool that you got to do that and got to learn it. And I'm sure at your young age, maybe some of the teachers who are older or in more difficult subjects, like I think we talked at home a little bit about the band teacher, music, art. Those must have been a lot more difficult.
Yeah. I teach Bible class, and there's a lot that you can do with that online and through video teaching and through these video discussions and all of that. But you're right, it is more challenging. I'm kind of thankful to have the class that I had, to have the subject that I had. But when it comes to some of these subjects, it can be really challenging working with, trying to teach band online, even math, trying to teach math online, where there's always questions, and
Right.
feedback that needs to be given. And I know that the teachers found their own system with that too, but they do have their challenges.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything about, I know we have a second topic we want to talk about. Is there anything else you want to mention about this that comes to your mind? Or
Well, what I want to mention, I think it'll just this may lead us into our second topic. But when I mentioned at the beginning about intentionality, we've talked a lot about the academic side of things, the educational side of things, but one of the other things that I really tried to look for in this time was intentionality with relationships, with community building, with investing in the lives of these students. And sometimes when you're in person, you can take some of those things for granted, that it just flows naturally through day-to-day interactions with people. But when you're distant from them, when you're online, you have to think about it. You have to be more intentional, or else it won't happen. And so that's what I found to be the case. And so I just looked for ways to continue to still reach out to these students, send them encouraging emails. I wrote them cards and sent them to their homes. Sometimes the opportunity presented to even just, for instance, we took signs, graduation signs to all of our 8th graders, and I was able to go to a few of them. And so even going to their houses and being able to spend some time visiting with them and praying for them, while still keeping social distance, just standing from a distance outside. So there's lots of things that you can do, but it just took real creative thinking on that. I was able to meet with different students on Zoom, not with the whole group setting, but just more on a one-on-one basis, sometimes for academic help, but sometimes just to encourage them, pray for them, if I felt they needed that. Yeah, we had a couple of parades at school where the families were able to drive through, and they could wave at the teachers, and we could talk with them briefly from 6 feet apart. There were a lot of things. We had Facebook Live chapels every week, and we could all get in and comment, with each other on the Facebook stream and say hi to each other, but also listen to the message and sing along with the worship. So many creative ways, but you really had to think outside the box, and you had to be intentional about building those relationships from a distance. So
Because it would be just as easy not to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there today.
Yeah.
Or,
It'd be really easy
so the
to just
kids-
kind of go into hiding during this time.
Yeah.
But this is the time not to go into hiding. This is the time we need each other.
so one thing we haven't done is you haven't even named your school. Why don't you say the name of it, where it's located, if there's a website you know about, and even talk about how they've been remodeling the school and adding addition on or whatever. People might be interested. So
Yeah, it's Lifegate Christian School, and that is on 156th and West Dodge Road. The website is lcsomaha.org. That's lcsomaha.org. Ironically, we just completed a massive renovation project at the school where it looks so different, radically different from what it did when I first started working there. Everything's been updated, and much of the floor plan has even changed. We have a brand new cafeteria, classrooms have all been remodeled, everything's been new, and ironically, we finished that within weeks of when the coronavirus started. So we have this brand new facility, and we haven't even been able to enjoy it for very long before we all had to go home. But we're looking forward to being back in person this coming school year and really being able to enjoy that. Yeah.
We haven't even seen it. He keeps telling us about it and seen a few pictures. So they remodeled the church facility first, then the school building second. And really, on the outside, if the inside is anything like the outside, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so they've invested, there's a lot of churches that won't do that. This church has invested the money in Christian education, in the upgrading their facilities so that it's welcoming, it's more productive for the students, technology, every lighting, heating, air, everything, restroom facilities, eating facilities, recreation, athletics, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So much, much better. Great opportunity for students to go there, as I'm sure all the other Christian schools in the city, in the area. So let's segue into our second topic. We have about 10 minutes left. We're going to talk, I think, about blessing and encouraging others during difficult times. Would that be a fair way to say it?
That's good. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? What we did at our church, what we did in person?
I'll start with church, and this does kind of tie in with what I was even sharing from the school end of things too. Again, just reaching out. This is a time where we need one another, even though we have to be distant from each other. In many ways, we need to be closer now than ever, even though we have to be physically distant. And one of the things that we've done at church, you put forth a challenge. I'll start with that. In the month of May, for our congregation to, instead of giving our normal tithe or offering that we would give to the church, to pray about it and to take a portion of that money that we would have given to the church and still give part of it to the church, but then to take a portion of that, whether that's 10% of that or 50% of that or whatever, and instead save that and be open to opportunities to give that to people who are in need and to bless them.
And perhaps people we don't even know. The goal was give 10 to 50% for the month of May. Instead of giving it to Kingdom Encounters Church, actually give it to people in the community, like you said, who have a specific need or just needed encouragement. I know for myself, we have a florist in our church, Everbloom Florist. They have 2 locations, and Jennifer Hammond Morrow is one of the, or Morrow Hammond, I always get that mixed up. But Jennifer, you'll understand if you watch this. So, but I just began sending flowers to lots of people in the city. I began sending flowers to friends. I began sending them to some of our public servants in Bellevue and Omaha. I began sending them to people who are in need, people who are sick. And some of it was our own money, some of it was our ministry money, but we sent a lot of bouquets and a lot of plants to a lot of people. And it helped Jennifer because her business was spiraling downward at that point because nobody was going out. A lot of all the graduations got canceled. A lot of weddings got postponed or canceled. Mother's Day, all sorts of things, just people didn't have money because they lost their jobs. Yeah. They didn't have money to spend on flowers. So we were actually helping her in the process. So.
And this is a topic I'm so passionate about, just about being generous and about blessing others. I love to do it, and I love to just see how it impacts people's lives, and I also love to see how the resources of God never run out. And it just seems that it's a catchphrase, but it's true. You can't outgive God. And
one of our members left a $150 tip for a waitress. $150 tip for a waitress. That's what one of our members did. I heard about that one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
She was just kind of giddy
yeah,
about
and,
it. Yeah.
and our church wasn't hurt at all.
That's so
We
good.
wouldn't be hurt. And then Eagles Nest Worship Center here in town, that's our overseeing church, Pastor Hart, he decided to do the same thing at his church. When he saw our idea, he asked his church to do the exact same thing. Go
Yeah.
out and bless people in the community, help
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, one thing that I keep just a bunch of money available that I've set aside that I would have given to the church, but I've just set this aside, and I still have some that I'm looking for opportunities to give. But the other day I was at a Chick-fil-A, and I was at the drive-through line, and I had already decided in my heart that I was going to give them more than what the meal cost and just let them keep the change. And I believe that's the Lord was leading me to do that. So my meal cost like $5 or just a little more than that or something. But I was going to give them a $20 bill and let them keep the change. And what was interesting about that is I had already decided this in my heart, but then as I was going through the lane, I could overhear the conversation that they were having with the people in front of me. And as the people in front of me pulled away, I heard the staff at the Chick-fil-A say that that the people in front of me didn't give them enough, and they didn't realize it until they had pulled away. And so they were like, it was just only $1 or $2 short. It wasn't that significant, but they had just been underpaid by $1 or $2. And in my heart, I already knew I was going to give them that extra $15 or so beyond. And so I pulled up and went through the order and everything and paid them gave them the $20, and I told them to keep the change, and they had to repeat back to me a couple times. They're like, "You mean you don't want this back?" And I said, "No, God bless you. Thank you for everything you do." And the same people who had just been frustrated a minute ago by being underpaid by $1 or $2, now they had almost $15 extra of blessing. So,
And some people they blessed in other ways. We have a lady in our church, she's actually, I would call her a casual member, not somebody that's 100% engaged. I think she goes somewhere else as well, but she's a hairstylist, and she was out of work for a while, so she offered to give haircuts to people in our church, and she gave some for free, just as a blessing of something she could provide at the time. And I know we went in and got haircuts a week or two ago, and I tipped the lady that we get our haircuts with, I tipped her 100%. What she charged me, I gave her 100% in tips too, because I knew she had been out of work for a number of weeks. And so looking for those, and it doesn't, you'd say, well, maybe you wouldn't be able to afford some of these things, or maybe you couldn't afford to do some of the things, but even just random acts of kindness, helping somebody with their grocery cart. I get notes almost every week of people thanking me for just positive notes on social media. There's so many mean things on social media presently, and to post something positive every day is wonderful, and it's encouraging.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's so needed in this season. And I love the challenge that you gave to the church about giving, and you mentioned it already. And just like I was saying, you can't outgive God. Well, right. And you mentioned that we, as a church, we haven't missed a beat financially. Right. The Lord has just sustained us, even though we've had people cut what they've given to the church this past month and give some of that to others. We haven't felt an impact at all.
We've actually took in more than we needed. And if you knew our church, we don't actually pass the offering plates at all. There's a basket by the door if you want to give. I never once announced it for the last month. Didn't say a thing about it. We still took in more than we needed. And we had a lot of people who didn't give at all because they haven't even been there, because some of them lost their jobs or whatever. And yet simultaneously, as we sowed into the community to bless during helping other people in their hard times, we were blessed back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I know you made an offer. You haven't any takers yet, but you even said you'd go out and mow somebody's grass or something if they, a part of that, he said, I just got to get out of the house, but
I know, right? Now that it's getting warmer out.
Although I need my yard mowed twice, and I've done it twice in the last 2 times, but that's a different story. So.
I'll get it next time.
Yeah, you'll get it next time. So, anyway.
But yeah, I think the summary of all of this is being so purposeful in this season. Like we said before, it'd be really easy to just kind of shrink back and just kind of almost like go into hiding. And I don't think we're supposed to go into hiding in this season at all. And that has nothing to do with whether you feel personally safe about going out or not. You can stay home all the time and
Right.
still not be in hiding. You can still be you can still be writing letters or giving or
Right.
putting encouraging posts on Facebook, and you can still be doing things right from the safety of your
Let
own
me-
home too.
You know, and some of these floral things I just call, and some of them I did, and you know, I went and ordered in person, and we only got a couple minutes left. But one thing I did was with Jennifer, I gave her, I think it was around $200, and I said, take small bouquets, maybe just single stem bouquets around to all the businesses that are around her business, and just say, we're thinking of you, we're blessing you. So we helped fund that. So
Yeah.
and then she connected with some of the business owners around her business that she had never met before. And so we're looking for creative ways to bless, to encourage in our community. You know, we talked about technology. You can get online and you can order something easily just from your computer. You don't even have to go out if you're concerned about that. But, you know, as you do go out more, whether it's to the dentist or to get your hair cut or go grocery shopping, whatever, look for ways to bless, look for ways to encourage. That's what caring community is all about.
Yeah.
And Jason, thanks for offering to come on the show. You really should host this.
We'll have to talk
Your
about
mom
that.
wants to get out of a job. She doesn't. She's the shy one, but she married into this family. And she's stuck with us now.
Yep.
So, oh yeah. Are we allowed to kiss on camera? Let me give you.
There we go.
Okay, I've been married 41 years. Get a little sugar once in a while, okay? You know the rules, right? Do it again. No, I'm teasing. Okay, so anyway, thanks for tuning in today. Caring Community, this is Jason West, Diane West, Jay West. It's wonderful to be back on the air with y'all. Hope to see you again in the next show. I'm excited about KPAO. Mike Wallace, our producer, does an excellent job. We're grateful. Our shows are on YouTube. You can find them on KPAO, whatever. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.